So you're considering buying a second home in Miami? Miami has become one of the tourist hubs with over 4 million people going through our city every single year. Not only has the neighborhoods grown, but also there's new buildings and new things to do every single time. Now, with that, there's been a huge growth in short-term and second home environment housing. So today, I'm gonna take the time to go through 8 different things that you should know if you're considering to buy a second home in Miami. I'm also gonna give you a little bit of what my favorite suburbs and buildings are in Miami. And at the end, I'm gonna give you a couple tips just to make sure you're on the right track to getting your second home here in Miami. When you're considering this, you might have to be a little bit further away from the city. Now, what's called West Brickell, what used to be Little Havana, those are some areas, or up in Miami Shores, those are 2 areas that I would say are really nice because it does allow you to have the short-term rental, but you don't run into the issues with either associations, buildings, or municipalities that they don't allow you to do so. The second thing that you need to consider when you're buying a second place in Miami is how often are you going to be using it and how are you going to be using it. Why do I mention this? Because there are some restrictions. There's some really good opportunities in some buildings, but you do need to have it operated by a third-party management from the building. You can sometimes do it in an Airbnb, or you can do it by yourself, or there is absolutely no service and you have to kind of figure it out. Is this something that you're considering to eventually move to and retire to? Is this something that you're just doing for investment purposes, or are you doing it just because you come every once in a while? All these things need to be taken into consideration when you're buying your second place. The third thing that you need to take into consideration when you're buying a second home in Miami is, do you want a new property or do you want a resale property? Now, why do I ask this question? Because it has come up a lot with some of the clients that we've spoken to, and I would tell you that I prefer sometimes resale properties because there are a lot of families or people that come down to Miami often and they're used to staying in a place, and because of that, you don't jump into having a new property and trying to market them and get people in there. Also, you need to consider that there are a lot of new buildings that have a lot of new amenities and new things that people would like. So it actually comes down to your preference and what would you prefer. Do you want something that kind of has a little bit of history, good or bad? Or do you want something new with new amenities and a new management that can also be a huge benefit? So either one, it's a great choice. It's up to you. I just wanted to take a quick moment and let you guys know that if you found any value of this video so far, let me know right down in the comment section below. And if you have any questions on any of the things that I mentioned today, reach out to me and my team. We could definitely sit down and go through everything of all the buildings that I mentioned and go through the pros and cons and make sure you're making a good decision. The fourth thing that you need to consider when you're buying a second place in Miami is amenities. Now, it's a loaded question. Let me break it down. When you look at a single family residence that you can use to either do a short-term rental or have it as a second home, you do have to take care of a lot of the maintenance cost. It does come maybe a little bit cheaper, but you do need to take care of it, and it's very hands-on. Now, when people come rent, we've seen that one of the big things that people look for is a pool or look for added amenities that they can either walk to or have around. Now, you look at a high-rise or any of those buildings tend to come with either gyms, they have bowling alleys, they have really nice pools and all sorts of things that some people actually look for. So it does come at a cost, but you need to see how you would prefer to manage the property, or if you're gonna have it for your own personal use, what would make more sense to you. But it is something to consider, the pros and cons when you're looking at it. So we actually pay for some of the services that we share with our clients when we're looking at a condo or a single family residence to see if it makes sense. And this is kind of what it's told us. Most people look for a short-term rental that has some type of water access, it be a pool, a jacuzzi, or whatnot. That is a huge plus that people are willing to pay for. Now, if the property doesn't have a pool, I don't think it makes sense or it's justifiable to spend $60,000, $70,000 putting in a pool, but it is something that people look for. The second thing that people look for is walkability. How close is it to things? Because not everybody that comes into town has the ability to either rent a car or get around easily. And the third one that I really don't want you guys to forget is Wi-Fi. Sometimes it's overseen, but it's a small things that actually get people coming back to your short-term rental. The fifth thing that you need to make sure when you're buying a second home in Miami is there an on-site management? Is there a third party that can actually do the management? There's a lot of companies that actually work with Airbnb and do some of the management, and you do need to see the cost of what those look like. Sometimes it's as little as 10%, sometimes it's as much as 50%, but there are some properties that actually don't allow you to do short-term rentals if you don't use the services that are provided either by the building or by the association. So it is something that you need to take into consideration, because sometimes you don't have all the freedom just to do as you want with your property. The number 6 thing that you need to know when you're buying a second home in Miami is if there's an association or some type of management company, what's included in what they're giving you. So it's the breakdown. Is water included? Is electricity included? Is the pool, amenities, security guard? What are they giving you? For this, I'm going to use an example. The SLS Brickell, they are known for having high association cost, upwards of $1,000 depending on how big the unit that you get is. Now, there are some added things that come with it. Every single weekend, they have a pool party with live music, and it is literally a full party. A lot of people look for that building because of that, and the rental rates that you can get short-term on those units is actually very high for the weekends because of the fact that a lot of people like to come into town and experience the Miami lifestyle when they're here. Now, the charges for upkeep or whatnot is a little bit higher, but it is an added thing that people look for and people want to have. And to look at the actual numbers, they are usually rented out most weekends coincidentally because of that. So it is something extra that you're paying for, but you are kind of making some of your money back. So it is something to consider when you're looking at it. The 7th thing that you need to consider when you're buying a second home in Miami is the bed ratio that you have in your property. What do I mean by that? It might be a little bit of a loaded question, but you need to look at how many beds can you fit or how many people can you sleep in your short-term rental. There are some properties that are really nice. They have really big spaces, especially in the living room, dining room. Is consider having some of the pull-out couches or a big bedroom that could have 2 beds. Those are some added things that you can actually squeeze a little bit more people into your Airbnb, which in turn can actually provide you a lot of profit because of the fact that you are catering to bigger parties. Therefore, more people are willing to pitch in. And it's not uncommon for a lot of people to come down to Miami and have multiple groups stay in one place, so they're a little bit closer. And because you have the added benefit of pull-out couches or extra bedrooms or whatnot, it actually caters to more people, and more people are going to want to stay, and in turn they're going to want to pay a premium for it. The number 8 thing that you need to consider when buying a second home in Miami is financials. I left it last because I wanted to take a little bit more time and go through it a little bit more thoroughly. Because there are so many opportunities, you can find a property that is in the resale market where we can ask the prior owner for its financials. How has the property performed over the last year, over the last 6 months, and see where the peaks and valleys are for that property in particular. So you are in more of a driver's seat and see how the property has performed, what you can improve, and it gives you a little bit more of an ease into that type of property. Now, the benefit is you also need to consider, how are you going to be using the property? Is this something that you're looking at it solely for investment purposes and you want to make sure that that is the forefront thing that you're looking at? Or is it something that you do want to make some money just to kind of cover the cost and be able to come down to Miami whenever you want and not have a huge burden? Have something there, have some money sitting there. Or is it something that you want to have that's kind of like a trophy property? Do you want to have it completely locked up all year round and only open it up whenever you're here? Well, that's something that you need to consider, but it is something that you need to know. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, I'll go over my top 5 favorite buildings in both Brickell and downtown. The first one up is SLS Brickell. I just mentioned it before. It is a party, it is a fun atmosphere, but the views are really nice. And if you do live there, long term, or you do have a long term lease, like a year, if you go all the way up to the 40th story, which is all the way at the top of the building, they have a pool that actually has a wraparound glass where you can see both this and the sunset. I highly recommend that building for its views. It's spectacular. I know that they are building a building next to it right now, but it does have really nice views. Number 2, Brickell House. The fit and finish are none to compare. The building was made by a renowned architect, super nice, super elegant. Every time I go, I just enjoy the building a lot. Now, the only drawback from the building is the parking is in the building next door. There is a way of getting over, but if you consider that parking is a must, that you need to have very flexible parking, it probably isn't the building for you. Other than that, the building is very nice. Number 3 is Brickell Icon. Well, some people have a little bit mixed feelings about this building, but I'll give you a little bit of lay of the land. There are 3 towers, and each tower has about 500 units. When you're looking at it as a whole, you're looking at about 1,500 units. The property does have kind of like a hotel management system that they have, where you can live there full time, or you can opt in to have their services for a certain fee. They do have a restaurant that's been changed a couple times up on the 50th story, and it's a very nice building. Now, if you do like me, this is probably the building for you, just because it's so big. There's always people coming in and out, and it's a very enjoyable time. It is considered to be kind of like a social building. Number 4 is the Four Seasons. Four Seasons is what you can expect. It is a very nice building. It has spectacular amenities. The room sizes tend to be a little bit bigger. There's a lot less people in the building. If you're looking for more relaxed time and actually enjoy a little bit, kind of kick back, this is probably the building for you. It has a really nice bar, really nice pool and amenities. It's on the southern part of Brickell, so it's definitely something to consider. Last, we have Nativo and 501. Now, these 2 buildings are in Brickell. They have just been finished up. One of them is finished, the other one is they're about to finish it up. And these are the newest short-term rental buildings that there are. They do have a lot of amenities, but they are super advocates of the short-term rental. So I'm excited to see where these buildings go and see where this comes to fruition, to see where it goes. But they are really nice buildings that have a lot of amenities. Hey guys, I want to give you guys a little bonus. Now, 11 towers are 2 towers that are getting built on the northern part of downtown. They are a little bit newer. They are about halfway up through the construction, expected to be delivered in about a year and a half, 2. These buildings, I'm actually really excited because it's kind of the first one of its kind, where it's gonna have a 24-hour service to and from the nightclub, and the nightclub happens to be 24 hours a day. So I'm excited to see where that building goes. There are a lot of added amenities to that building, super high and super nicely done, but I am very excited to see where that building goes. Now, I know I took some time to go over my favorite 5 buildings, but I want to go over 2 areas that I would consider if you're looking for more of a house product than an actual high-rise building. I would consider what's used to be called Little Havana or West Brickell. That area has a lot of small homes, a little bit older, but really nice. A lot of people look for them because they're a short commute over to either Brickell, Miami Beach, or the popular areas people like to go to. And you don't have that much restrictions because you don't have any associations. It's single family homes. So it's one that I would consider. Also, a little bit further north, you have Miami Shores, which is actually a really nice area as well. The houses tend to be a little bit bigger. You have a little bit of a bigger lot size. Houses are a little bit older, but it is also something to consider when you're looking at it. So you have a little bit of both products. I just went over the 8 tips. I went over the 5 of my favorite spots in Miami. I went over the 2 areas in the suburb that I would consider. And with all of this, I want to let you know that, is there a perfect place where you can buy your second home in Miami? I don't think so. There's so many different spots that are good, but it all depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking for long term? Are you looking for short term? Are you looking for some cash? Or are you looking to eventually move down here? It actually all depends on what you're looking for. And with that, I'll leave you with this. If you are considering moving down to Miami, reach out. Love to have a conversation. We'll break it down, make sure it makes financial sense, and we have your goals in mind when we're going through it, and we'll go through everything A through Z. Now, I'll leave my information below. If you find any value in this video, please like it, subscribe. We're coming out with a video every single week. If you want, go through the library. We have a couple videos that we've done before. Share those, look at them, let me know what you think. We'd love to get you guys feedback. Thank you so much for watching.